All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show, coming to you live as we do every single Sunday at 11 a.m. here through Restream and brought to you to Facebook Live, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Thank you for finding us here on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2021. You can reach us anytime through the comments section or by email, the360sportshow at gmail.com. And my name is Andrew Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber, and we're going to jump right on into it. Christian, happy Valentine's Day. I see we both decided to wear red. I do have a gift for you. I did not, I mean, time just, the time gets away from me, but I do have a gift for you, which honestly, we're not going to have the time for it today, but I think maybe next week, a little more off-season type talk, we'll have some time to have like a full gift unveiling segment, I think, because I think you're going to like the gift that I have procured for you.
All right.
So, that's a tease. We already did last week, we got to preview the Super Bowl right before it happened, and then we went on Monday and did our recap of the Super Bowl. A week out now from the game, we've already given a lot of the more in-depth analysis and stuff. And certainly if you have Super Bowl questions and you want to ask, you weren't able to be on the show on Monday during our recap, certainly drop those in the comments section now. We'll be happy to answer those and discuss. But for you, Christian, what are kind of like, what's the lasting thing? What's sticking with you the most here now that we're like a week after the game and things have kind of settled down? What's stuck with you?
From the game standpoint, I guess just the Tampa Bay defense and how much they, kind of impacted those games in the playoffs. I think they were much better than not only I expected, but a lot of people. And they got some young pieces there, and obviously they had some mishaps throughout the season, rather. And I did not think they would be where they were at that point, but to go on the road and beat three teams, two of which were led by Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, that's impressive. And then obviously the one that stands out is Tom Brady. I mean, he leaves one place to go to one of the worst organizations in football, maybe even in sports. I don't even know. And he brings them to a Super Bowl, and he's kind of leading the charge, and he gets his seventh.
Yeah. For me, the more I think about the game, Tom Brady went out and did exactly what everybody thought he could and would. Like, I doubted the Bucs at the beginning of this playoffs. I said they're going to beat Washington, and that game was close. If Washington had a better quarterback, who knows what could have happened in that game. And then they played poorly but won against the Saints, and I was like, is it going to happen for them in year one? But then they go and they beat Aaron Rodgers, and they're in the Super Bowl, and it's Brady, and I said, listen, we all knew what we were going to get. The Bucs came out and did what we thought. To a T. Brady in the offense is going to be controlled and efficient, and the defense, because of the injuries along the Chiefs' offensive line, that defensive line and the defense is going to be able to just attack and play coverage. And that played out pretty much how we thought. Now, the flip side and what's sticking with me is as great as obviously Brady and the Bucs were, what's sticking with me more is just how disappointing of a game that is from Kansas City. No, not really putting up a fight after the first quarter. And we've talked about the things that, bad calls that went here and there and didn't go their way. But really it was the lack of adjustments. It was the lack of intensity or urgency from them, which has kind of been the unfortunate hallmark of Andy Reid teams in the past. Is this a learning moment for Pat Mahomes where, hey, maybe next time I'm down like 20 points in a Super Bowl, I'm not going to say, well, this is like that time in the regular season where we eventually found a way and I've come back from 20 points with like 6 minutes to go. Like, so let's not worry about it. Maybe you need to worry. I think that's what's sticking with me is the disappointment of the Chiefs. Because guess what? There's plenty of times where guys step in and fill offensive positions and succeed, and we praise them. This guy had a great game. No one was asking those tackles to go out and be Hall of Fame players. Just to go out and have a Hall of Fame type day. Or not even that. Go have a great day. And
That's
guess what?
to ask.
But guess what? It was evident from the start that they couldn't. So do something to help them. Have Kelsey chip the DNs. Have your running back stay in. Maybe play more protection. Give Mahomes more protection. Instead, he was running around, for his life the entire game, and they really just were saying, we're just going to let this play out. Let's just see if Pat can make a play. We're just gonna. That to me is what's sticking with me more. Brady went out and did exactly what everybody thought he was capable of doing. It's amazing because of his age, what he's still doing, but that was just efficient offense and a defense that had a great plan, and another team that just kind of just didn't change what they wanted to do. They just played. They just said it's like they just set their pieces and said, "Well, we can't change anything now. Let's just play it out and see how it happens." That to me is what's most disappointing as a fan, because we all thought this would be a great game and it wasn't. And so,
Yeah.
the Brady stuff, which we'll get into a little more here, is yeah, it's unbelievable, but it's not unexpected. Just because of his age and winning again is what's marvelous. But the disappointment, what's sticking with me more, is the Chiefs only scoring 9 points.
I mean, I said this before. I don't necessarily agree. I think the first half was overall pretty competitive, and I mean, look, if you go back and look at the referees, they were a factor in that first half. I mean, that's just factual.
Sure.
Tom Brady got gifted an interception that should have been picked off, but they got the ball back because of a bad penalty. So the first half, it was pretty competitive. And then once the flags started flying in and Kansas City lost their mind there for a brief period in the second quarter, then you're down 21-6 at half as opposed to 14-6 with Mahomes getting the ball. And Mahomes tried to make some plays in this game. He just didn't have enough help.
That's what I'm saying. That's the disappointing thing. No help. That's disappointment.
Yeah, I don't think you can forget the whole first half of how close the game actually was. Like it's 14-6, and Brady is driving down there. Do they even get that second touchdown? That third touchdown obviously comes back from penalties, and he had a bad pick, and it was gifted back to them. So I don't think that goes unnoticed, and I don't think.
But then the Chiefs played the rest of that game as if it was like you said. Well, let's just treat this like it's 14-6. That let's put that the penalties. No, it doesn't matter now. They scored. Like there needed to be more urgency from that team, and there was
I just think the better team won. I mean, I don't think that's crazy to say. The better team was the Buccaneers by far, and their defensive line and linebackers were great in all three games. They got to Rodgers, they got to Breeze, and they got to Mahomes the same way, especially without the two tackles. So even if you help there, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. It might give them more time, but overall, I think the game plan from the Buccaneers was just better, and I think they were the better team. And obviously, KC could have adjusted some things, but they are what they are. I mean, what are you going to do? Tyreek Hill is going to do something different if he's being doubled? I don't know.
Sure. I just think they didn't try. It didn't seem to me like they tried to do anything different from just trying to, like I said, we're just going to go deep. Just trying to hit these big plays. Mahomes is under assault. You don't even have the time to try and throw deep. And hey, maybe this is part of the Kansas City problem. No running game. Tampa Bay could care less. Our safeties are like 20 yards deep. Our D-line is spread out just to rush the passer. If you want to hand the ball off and get 4 yards, go for it. Great. We're daring you. And they didn't. So maybe that's part of that. Again, part of maybe their evolution will be to incorporate more of a running game with that offense to help Mahomes out. Because teams are going to replicate this against them. And Mahomes talked about that post-game. He was like, we got to study this. This is my worst performance. I was like, this is like worst performance maybe ever, like high school included. So
was Le'Veon Bell active for this game? What the hell happened to him?
I don't know. I had forgotten about the fact that he was even on that team because he just wasn't being used. And then I heard somebody mention him during the game, and I was like, oh my God, that's right. I totally forgot. He was. I don't think he was. Let's see. I don't even think he was active versus Buffalo. He was in the game versus Cleveland, and then nothing else for his 2020 games, according to Pro Football Reference. I kind of trust those guys. So, yeah, I don't know. I again, this would be like you'd have to jump back in time. I mean, like, what was he hurt?
Yeah,
I don't know what the story.
Down the rabbit hole,
yeah,
the game is what it is now. But I'm just curious because he's supposed to be an elite guy.
It looks like he was just a healthy scratch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Odd. Yeah. So again, this to me, like I said, I'm not disagreeing with you at all that like the Bucks were the better team, especially on that given day. Um, they had their they probably played their best game as a complete team.
They did 100%.
In the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The Chiefs played like their worst game. That's what I'm saying. That's what's sticking to me more is the disappointment that you'd have to be thinking about and I was rooting for the Bucks too. So it's not like this is me like being a sour like Chiefs fan here. I was rooting for the Buccaneers to win this game. That's just what's going to stick with me more is the Chiefs lack to really do anything. Here's somebody posed this interesting question to me, and then we'll move on. Would another team have played better? So, like, let's not go down and say, like, pick, like, well, the Chargers. No. Let's just go with the other team who could have been in this game. Would the Buffalo Bills have fared any better in this game than the Kansas City Chiefs?
Probably not. I mean, just, like, you're picking a team like that hasn't been to the Super Bowl in how long? I mean, you saw what KC did to them. Josh Allen was a mess in that championship game. I don't know if they go to the Super Bowl if do they have it in this first year with Diggs and incorporating all these guys? I don't think so.
Okay. No, it was an interesting question. Obviously, I think Chiefs healthy offensive line. I still think Tampa wins, but it's a game played in the 30s, which is what we all thought would happen. I think Buffalo, on paper, you'd look at and say, hey, they've got a better defense. They're going to tackle. They're going to cover better. They maybe don't really rush the passer as well. But more of an all-around balanced team, probably closer to what Tampa is than what Kansas City is. But then you have to factor in the human element of never having been there. Josh Allen, like we said, the Bills finally get to their first Super Bowl in however long, and they're playing Tom Brady.
Well, if you want to get really wacky, if you put Mahomes on the Bills team, I say they have a better chance just because of the receivers that they have.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that would be a better. That proves the point, right? So I think that'd be better. You put Mahomes on the Bills, they win.
It's not a knock on Josh Allen. He just hasn't been there before.
Not ready, and it would be no different than when Jared Goff got there. And look how Jared Goff looked with McVay and that offense. It was the moment was clearly a little overwhelming for them and him. So, Josh Allen probably would go through the same thing. He'd probably put up less than 9 points. But and I said for his development, better to lose in the AFC Championship game and be angry all offseason and come back and get better than like get to a Super Bowl like this great ride, maybe we're a team of destiny, and then you get beat down by Brady, and that's just like that mentally destroys you.
Never mind the last 20 years, then you lose in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just an interesting exercise. What did you think? Actually, let's before we get to, I want to talk about the parade, but let's talk. You brought up Brady and what the Bucs did, so let's talk about Brady winning 7 Super Bowls. It is just insane to really think about, and it's so crazy. Steve Young said this after the game. He's like, it's so crazy. The numbers are so crazy. You can't even really comprehend them. They don't have context. So you just hear these numbers and he's passed for like 3,000 something yards in the Super Bowl. Like it just doesn't make sense. He's got an entire season's worth of stats in the Super Bowl. Before we get into like what will it take for another player to win 7 Super Bowls, if it could happen, I'm going to tell you why the numbers say it won't. And this was an article from Yahoo, and they put the odds at another player winning 7 Super Bowls in their career. They didn't even specify quarterback, because then it's like even, let's just say player. A player wins 7 Super Bowls. The odds, 1 in 51.8 billion. Billion with the B. Here are some things that are more likely to happen to you in your life or to any person than winning 7 Super Bowls. You are more likely to date a supermodel, to date a millionaire, to win the lottery, to be eaten by a shark, to be canonized as a saint, to have an asteroid impact Earth, to you yourself be hit in the head by a meteor, to have a supervolcano erupt, and to find intelligent life somewhere else in the universe. All of those things are more likely to happen than for another player to win 7 Super Bowls. Just going off that, the numbers say not gonna happen. 17 million people will be hit by meteors in the head before, statistically, we will see another player win 7 Super Bowls. That is ridiculous. So just the numbers, not gonna happen. We'll talk about like the football reasons why I don't think, but just off that, if you just want to like frame it and like how likely, not likely. We'll find ET before somebody wins 7 Super Bowls again.
Yeah, I mean, I have some more for my cousin sent me over a couple of these too. These are just sports related as opposed to like, the aliens and everything else. But so chances that Brady makes the Super Bowl is 47.6%, right? So Babe Ruth gets on base, 47.4%. Gordie Howe scores a goal, 45.3%. Steph Curry makes a three. We saw this one before. It's 43.4%. And Ted Williams gets a hit at 34.4%. So Brady's above all of them in their respective sports. It's just stupid.
It is. The numbers, the number that, like Steve Young said, the numbers are ridiculous. You can't even start to fathom this. I was actually surprised that the most recent. What do you think the odds are on finding intelligent life in the universe? What do you think the odds are on that?
It depends. If you can make it out there, pretty good.
Yeah, 50-50. I was like, what? The odds that there's intelligent life out there is 50-50? That's incredible. And you start to think, like, well, why haven't we found them yet? This is not a science show, but it's like, you forget, like, we're on Earth. It takes us how long to get to the moon? We haven't even put a person on Mars yet. Like, universe is big. And Tom Brady is more likely, it's insane. It's ridiculous. The football reasons why. What will it take for somebody to be in a position, and let's say quarterback. Let's just focus on quarterback. 'Cause what will it take for a quarterback to win 7 Super Bowls again? Personally, you're going to have to mirror a career similar to Brady's. And we forget now, he's got 7. He did not win 1 in 10 years. He got to 2, but didn't win in the prime of his career. He won early, and he's winning late. And he's also had a 20-something plus year career. So it takes that. It will take playing that long and having the benefit of winning a couple early on and having a really great coach. And we think Belichick's the greatest of all time. I don't think you'll necessarily need that. Brady proved it this year. You don't need the greatest coach of all time if you're the best player of all time. But you're going to have to win a couple early on, and at least either you win a whole bunch in chunks, or you win just consistently. Like, hey, once every 2-3 years, I'm winning the Super Bowl. And I have a great coach, or I've had great coaches with me right along the way. Look at a guy like Matt Ryan, right? Could have won a Super Bowl, gotten over the hump, and then the next year, even though they lost, what'd they do? They started like chunking out offensive coordinators, turning over the staff, blah, 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 blah. That team fell apart. 1, because of blowing a Super Bowl, but 2, they didn't keep any consistency. You need the consistency. You got to have consistency at the head coaching position and the quarterback. You got to win young, and you got to play for like 20-something years. I just don't see that recipe coming along all that often, right?
No, because I mean, when you look at it, not only do you have to win 7, you have to get to 7, and in order to get that many wins, you probably have to get to more than 7. So it's not just about. There's no way someone's going 7-0 in Super Bowls. I just don't see that happening. That'd be ridiculous. So when you look at Brady, he's been to 10 and he's 7-3. So I think pretty similar in the type of career that you have to have, where it's like every few years you either got to make it or you got to get there and win one. Otherwise, I mean, there's just no hope. I don't know. Like, it's really hard to go back to back, especially we've only seen it from the Patriots in 3-4, and then now the Bucks are going to do it next year. But other than that, it's really hard to get back there twice and win it again. So for like a guy like Mahomes, is obviously the most notable because he's kind of this next echelon of great quarterbacks. You see what happened when you get there, though, you might not win them. So getting to that 7 mark, I mean, look, getting to 4 like Montana and these guys, that's hard in itself. Never mind getting to 7.
Yeah, I agree. And, I don't think we'll ever see it. Because, frankly, I don't think anybody will. It'll take, like you said, you're not going to just get to 7 and win 7. You're going to have to get to more. Because you're going to lose 1 or 2 along the way. And you're going to have to play for a long time. And, I don't know. Brady is the outlier. And there's other guys across the league that it's not like he's the only guy that puts in the time in the offseason and for his body and stuff like this. But you play a violent sport, too. And I know quarterbacks are protected. Quarterbacks can still get walloped. It's still football. Yes, they're protected. You might get a flag. Doesn't negate the fact that you just got crushed. Look at Mahomes in this past Super Bowl. He was getting bent sideways. There could have been more flags. And even when there were flags, it doesn't matter. Oh, great. Okay, 15-yard penalty. I'm sure that's, really reassuring when, like, your shoulder is now displaced. So it's not like these guys are prevented from getting hurt. Brady has had only one major injury. Everything else he's played through. Maybe other guys don't. Maybe other guys say, like, I got torn cartilage here. My shoulder's separated. This, that. I ain't playing. There's no one else like him. Could there be another Tom Brady someday? Yeah, but I don't know if that person wins 7 Super Bowls. The focus, like every single day, he like counts his calories and like watches everything he does is just dedicated towards football and getting back.
Except for the parade.
Except for the parade. So one day of the year. That's cheat day. Cheat day with a stipulation. It has to be after I win the Super Bowl. Day 3 after you win the Super Bowl, you can cheat and do whatever you want. So let's talk about that. What did you think of is it a parade, a boat parade? What is this? They just chugged around Tampa. And Brady had himself a jolly old time.
Yeah, a lot of tequila, I guess, huh? There was a couple of people saying though that he was faking it.
When he got off the boat?
Yeah, when he got off the boat. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if
nobody saw anybody out there really drinking, I guess, or him notably. He had the trophy on his thing on his boat, and then
guys, I left my phone below deck.
Yeah, take a swig. I mean, he definitely seemed like if he was acting, it was pretty good. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I joked that like that guy, coach, trainer, whoever that was like holding him up and like walking him away. Brady maybe, after a couple of avocado tequila shots, he started thanking Patriots fans for turning out. He was wondering where Edelman was.
Jules.
Hey, Jules. What did you think? Was it disrespectful for him to throw the Super Bowl trophy from one boat to the other?
Yeah, I saw this.
Let's not talk about. I don't want to. I think you're entitled to feel however you want to feel. The fact that the news went there to like do an interview, I think, is just giving somebody their 5 minutes when you shouldn't, because it's a completely ridiculous take. So let's just talk about the take and not talk about anything else. Let's talk about, is it disrespectful to throw a football trophy like a football when you're celebrating said championship?
No.
Okay, good. I agree.
I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to stop there.
And that's exact. No, it is not. They earned it. They can celebrate. Has anybody ever seen what happens to the Stanley Cup? Come on now.
Yeah, they eat cereal out of it, and And
I didn't hear this outrage when Gronk used it as a baseball bat at Fenway Park. Everybody was laughing and having a grand old time then.
Yeah. No.
When he laid down a bunt with the Lombardi Trophy. It's funny, haha. I think this is more to do with because it's Tom Brady in Tampa winning a Super Bowl. That's what I think. This is probably more to do with that than some sort of disrespect. So anyway, that's it. That's all we're gonna say on that. That's all the time we're gonna give to that. And we've talked enough about the Bucs and the Super Bowl now. Eye towards offseason. We've already seen two quarterbacks move, Jared Goff and Matt Stafford. We know Carson Wentz is probably going to get moved. We know Deshaun Watson is either going to sit out or he's going to force his way out. Aaron Rodgers has talked about being disgruntled. All of a sudden, Russell Wilson is now like on the fence. No, but do you think we're poised for an NBA style offseason of quarterback movement where usually you don't see big star players move in the NFL? It's these smaller little trades.
Sure.
I think we could be poised for that type of star player movement.
I think we could be, yeah. And I think it was Schefter that put something out like 19 or so quarterbacks could be on the move this season, which is just nuts because, there's only 32 teams in the league. But when you're looking at 19 quarterbacks on the move, I mean, that can, Phillip Rivers retired, so he's out. So Indy has an opening. Obviously Wentz wants to be moved. And then you look at the draft this year. How many teams want to draft a quarterback, or how many teams want to move on and go get a Deshaun Watson or go get a Carson Wentz or someone like that? Obviously, you're not going to trade one of those top picks for Wentz, but a Watson, a Tua if he's available, and then you have this clump of great quarterbacks at the top of this draft. Obviously, they have to get there first and do it, but supposedly they're all going to be pretty good. Lawrence, obviously, most notably, but then you got the other guys at the top of the board. So there's going to be a lot of movement there. And just in general, I think you're going to see ridiculous amounts of movement at that one position. This could be one of the craziest quarterback movement seasons, off seasons of all time.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, the draft is going to dictate a lot of this. Teams, there was 30-something scouts at Trevor Lawrence's little workout there. So all these teams are going to be knocking on the door. Everybody's going to be calling Jacksonville. Everybody's going to be calling the Jets. And we talked about the big names, but even guys, there's moves that then it's the domino effect, right? Okay, Deshaun Watson goes here. Then their quarterback, maybe if he went to the Jets, I don't think he will. But then Sam Darnold's going to get moved. And then who? So then is Houston drafting? If they're like the number 2 pick is coming back, are they taking Fields? So then, what happens to Darnold? Who trades for Darnold? And then does that team have a pick? And then, Garoppolo gets moved. Now the 49ers are looking to move up in the draft. Maybe they try and leapfrog. There's so many. There's going to be such the musical chairs for the starting quarterback positions could be unlike anything we've ever seen.
The Raiders alone could have a starting
Derek
quarterback
Carr.
named not named Derek Carr or Marcus Mariota if they decide it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think situations like that's where it's the teams. Like if Garoppolo leaves, it's the team controlling that situation, right? They're saying, we want this guy, and we're going to go get this guy. If the Jets or any of these other teams, the Raiders, they're saying, we don't want these guys. We want to go get these guys. It's the team. Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers evidently wants a contract extension, and he says he's not going to do any favors. He's going to bend the Packers over the barrel for more money. Is that going to help you win, Aaron? Is that really going to help the team?
He's got his MVP. So,
do you think is this type of what those guys are trying to do? Watson wanting more say. I think is Brady going to be kind of like an example of, hey, Brady's 20-something years in. He's won 6 Super Bowls before. They offered him more say in what's going on, and they win a Super Bowl. Is that bad? Because these other quarterbacks are going to think, well, see, you should give us more say. But where does it stop? If you're a top 5 quarterback, if you're a top 10 quarterback, is Derek Carr going to be asking for a say in which players get drafted and who they go after, play more of the GM role? Is it going to be good for the league if more of these guys, not that players shouldn't be empowered and have, like a fair share of the money, but at what point does the line get blurred between saying, like, listen, players, owners, team, equal stake, but like the players play and the owners own and the GMs build the team? At what point is it good to say, oh, I know I signed a 5-year contract, but in year 2, I've decided I want you to go sign this guy, and if you don't do it, I'm going to hold out, and you have to trade me. If this kind of continues, is that good for the league? if these guys do force their they force their ways out.
I don't know. It's kind of a tough question, but I'll just say, from my standpoint, I don't love how much power the players have in like the NBA, for instance, because they just form all these, super teams, if you want to call them that, where, you got two of the best players in the league on one team, and then another guy comes and joins you, and it just seems like the players are, Anthony Davis. He can force his way out of New Orleans, and he'll choose where he wants to go because he's not going to sign anywhere else. It just seems like it's, I don't know. There was a time when you were traded to a team and you would try to have that team win, but those days are over. So I don't know if the same thing happens in the NFL. It's a little bit different because of, you need both sides of the ball, and there's a lot of players involved there. But it's going to be interesting to see. Like Deshaun Watson, I feel like is going to be that first shoe to drop where he's going to control where he wants to go. So that's going to be an interesting one. And same with, I believe, Garoppolo. Not that he's, in the same tier, but he has no trade, so he could technically say no or yes to a team. So it's going to be interesting. And I mean, just based on the amount of movement that's going to happen here, it's going to be crazy. And we'll see how kind of the players react to it. Like if they see Watson control where he wants to go, then other guys start doing it, like Wilson and Rodgers and all these guys.
Do you think Rodgers or Wilson go anywhere this year? It sounds crazy to say, but
I mean, Rodgers, I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. I don't think that would be crazy just based on the Packers drafted Jordan Love last year, and they didn't get there again to the Super Bowl, but Rodgers got his MVP, so he wants money. If I'm the Packers, I would consider moving on from Rodgers and letting the kid play, just based on everything that's happened. I don't know. Let him go somewhere else and get paid. That's fine. If he wants to get paid, go ahead. Because I don't know if he's that type. He just never seems like the type of guy that's going to bring you over the top to win a Super Bowl, as great as he is. So I would let the kid play. And then in terms of Wilson, I don't think he's going to be moving just based on the dead cap hit that the Seahawks would have. It would be like $30 million in dead cap. I don't know if they would do that.
Yeah. Now they can always negotiate. I mean, there's always ways. Like whoever, if they're trading him to like the Jets, who I don't know what their cap situation is, but they can always be like, listen, you're sending us some cash back too,
Yeah.
To at least help alleviate the losses there. Now the Seahawks would be hamstrung. Obviously, the cap number is the cap number. You can't change that. But as far as you wouldn't just be soaking money into a player that's not playing for you. There's a way around that. But yeah, I agree. I think I'm with you. The Packers, they should just move on from Aaron Rodgers. It sounds crazy, but if the guy's if he's gonna be a complete dink this year, unless he gets a contract, like if he'll hold out, or is just going to be, if he's going to pull a James Harden and just show up to Wisconsin looking like he just show up to Green Bay looking like he just ate. He's going to eat all the cheese. He's going to show up like he's eating all the cheese, and just not care. Then you might as well just move on from the guy because he's not going to be worth what you'd have to pay him this year, and then 4 years from now. How old is Rodgers? He's like 36, right?
30.
He's not that young.
38. Yeah, I'll look it up quickly, but I think he's like, I want to say 38. 37. Yeah, he's gonna be 38 next year.
So this is like kind of the point, dude, where it's like you've been paid. It's not like this is like him getting his first contract. This is kind of the point in your career where you say, you know what? I've made the money. Guys like Brady have done it their whole career. Usually other guys, they maybe win, then they want their money, and then after like 6-7 years they say, you know what, I've made my money, I want to win a championship, I want to win one, give me a ring. Now Rodgers does have that, but I think the dude wants another. Maybe he thinks he doesn't need it, so he'll just be like, hey, just keep paying me, I just want to win MVPs and get paid. And if that's his mindset and I'm the Packers, move on. Why did you draft Jordan Love then? If you weren't ready to move on, why did you draft Jordan Love? Because that's a big mistake. You draft that guy, you're not ready to pull the trigger and move on, and you just hurt your own chances at winning with Aaron Rodgers because you could have drafted a receiver, or they could have DK Metcalf.
I mean, this is very Packers though. They waited.
Think about that. Think about the Packers had DK Metcalf.
So could the Patriots.
So yeah, but we're not. The Patriots don't have Aaron Rodgers, so
Yeah, but they have N'Keal Harry.
who's going to play tight end this year? Anyways,
Yeah.
nah, he's getting traded. Well, that's true. We should dedicate a segment towards the N'Keal Harry trade market.
Yeah, nobody.
Talk about cash considerations. That's what he's going to get traded for.
Yeah. I don't know. For Green Bay, though, you have to look at if Rodgers leaves, or if Rodgers stays. If you're paying him 4 years and he's going to play out the remainder of that contract, you got to consider then trading Jordan Love, and maybe in 2 years you draft another guy. Who knows? I think it's one or the other, right? I would think you give Rodgers a 1-year deal. Does he accept that? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. So it's going to be an interesting NFL offseason for sure. And more stuff will start to crystallize as we get closer towards free agency and the NFL draft. We'll certainly be bringing back in Brad Kelly, who was awesome for us last year in our little pre-draft show. He nailed it, as he often does. He's very well informed. Yeah, at Brad Kelly 17. Go give him a follow on Twitter. He was absolutely awesome for us last year. We've been following him throughout the whole NFL season. He does plenty of film breakdowns and stuff, so I'd love to get his thoughts on kind of how things went for some of these rookies this past year and look ahead to the draft and free agency. So we'll certainly be having him on. One last NFL-related note, but this is also a lacrosse take. Some Premier Lacrosse news. Friend Chris Hogan from the former New England Patriots and Buffalo Bills, one-time Miami Dolphin, and one-time New York Jet. AFC East King Chris Hogan is retiring from football to go play lacrosse. Announced that this week that he's declared for the Premier Lacrosse League draft. He's signed with the league and he's ready to go. Yanni Karakis from WPRI tweeted, "Is Chris Hogan played football the new Chris Hogan played lacrosse, only now on lacrosse broadcasts?" Because that was the big thing. Whenever somebody had a Patriots game, oh, did you know Chris Hogan played lacrosse in college? I think this is awesome. I think it's really cool for him. I mean, the guy's won 2 rings. He's made his money in the NFL, played lacrosse. Why not? You have the opportunity, go chase that dream. It's awesome.
Also, if nobody knows, like, he played lacrosse, right? So... Yeah, but seriously, I mean, whatever. For him, it's like, okay, so lacrosse now has this kind of, Premier League, right? So why not? You have a background in lacrosse. You went to the NFL and you won Super Bowls. You made some money. So now if you want to do something else you love, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really cool. So just a fun little story. And when Premier League Lacrosse starts up, we'll certainly be giving that its time. I think it was good for the league. They merged with Major League Lacrosse, kind of get everybody under one banner, so to speak, and that'll make it more appealing to fans and easier for fans and the layperson to just kind of tune in and know what's going on and who's who. Harder for, like, say, the networks to cover a sport if there's like 4 leagues, because you just don't know what's important. Put it all under one league, and now it's easier for people to pay attention and follow. So that'll be interesting. We kind of mentioned how the NFL could be having an NBA type offseason. And so next we'll move to the NBA. And I just want to get your thoughts. I want to read the exact words on this. We talk about the NFL having like the player movement and stuff, and is it good or is it bad? I gotta find exactly. Okay, so this was talk about player control. James Harden straight up just said, I don't feel like playing for the Houston Rockets anymore. I'm out. I'm done. Trade me somewhere. With 3 years left on his deal. And this is what he said this week. "I hate that I did what I did, but if it's what gets me what I want, I don't care about anything else." That's crazy. I think that level of
Is it?
IDGAF is insane. Like, that's not good.
Well,
if that sets the example, I know, but
welcome
but
to the
listen,
NBA.
But
it's been that way for years now.
Sure, but like Usually with guys who got 1 year left. Listen, I don't want to play here. Trade me at the trade deadline. Trade me at the beginning. I'm leaving next year. Just trade me now. Not, oh, I signed an extension a year ago, and now I want you to trade me. Just because what? You don't think the Rockets could be a good team this year? Like, they could have still been a good team. Like, it's not like the Rockets were headed towards this complete and utter, hey, 3 guys retired, we have no cap space, we're going to be a lottery team. And he's like, listen, man, I'm out. It's not like, hey, we're hitting the total rebuild, James. Do you want to be a part of it? No, please.
You know how you want it out? Because he doesn't want to be the guy. This is the NBA. Like, it's the same thing over and over again. Guys like Kyrie want to recruit Kevin Durant because what they wanted, they went away from LeBron James to their own situation and their own team, and they failed. So now they want to come back and get together and huddle up in a little group and have a super team so they can all win. This is what the NBA is. Outside of Giannis right now, and the Tatum and Brown situation where they were drafted, and it's the same thing where Kevin Durant is up 3-2 in a Western Conference final against Golden State, ends up losing the series, and then goes and joins them. This is the NBA.
Yeah. Is it good though? Does it
No.
need to stop? Does it need?
It's gone too far.
How do you stop it?
I have no
Can you
idea.
stop it?
No. This is what the league is, and unfortunately, I don't know how much they tried to do that with your super max and all this, and it's worked for some guys, right? But it's the first contract. Then once guys are 28 and they haven't won anything, they all want to group up and play together. So would I be surprised if Giannis, Jalen, and Jason all go to one team after 4 years here? No, because this is what the NBA is.
Well, do you think this is why you bring up Giannis? I think it was really surprising that he signed that extension because the narrative coming into this offseason between October and December was, listen, they need to prove to him that they're committed. And it was like the 11th hour. He had a meeting with them and came out and said, like, it was a nice conversation. Not, we had a great talk. I'm ready. I'm for the future of the Milwaukee Bucks, blah, 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 blah. It was a wait and see. And yes, they went out and get Drew Holiday. Nice. Good job. Thank you. Go do something else. And they completely botch the Bogdanovich situation, which would have told me if I was Giannis, ugh. So we're not going to be as good as I want us to be this year. And we really only have Drew Holiday for what, 1 year? I only have 1 year left on my deal. Why not play out the year, see how things go? If we win a championship, that will then maybe allow us to lure some veteran players here on the cheap for next year, and make some other moves. If we don't win the championship, and we're heading down the road of no cap space, no draft capital to go and make other moves to improve, then I can just walk as a free agent. Or I can let these other teams, listen, Milwaukee, you've had your chance to appease me for like 4 years. I want to listen to what these other teams have to say now. He could have done that guilt-free. Now, he signed that deal. I don't know why.
Because everybody does.
He's honestly, he's put himself now in the position where I don't see how Giannis doesn't become the a-hole. Because in 2 years, that team could be terrible. And he's going to have 3 years left on a deal, being paid a lot of money, and the team's awful, and he's going to be like, I want out. Or it could be next year. Yeah. Who knows? I was really shocked that he signed that contract. Because, listen, guys go to free agency, go ahead. Walk. LeBron, the first and second time, he left Cleveland and left Miami. Do it the wrong way going to Miami? Absolutely. But nobody said, like, this is a travesty for the league. No, it was the guy's a free agent. And he decided to leave Miami and go to Cleveland. And then when Cleveland, he decided to leave Cleveland and go to LA. No problem with that. I don't guys are free agents, want to join up? Go ahead. Opting out of, or not even opting out, saying like, trade me, I'm done here.
It's the same Anthony Davis did, pretty much. I mean, it's not exactly the same as Harden, but it's what guys do in the league.
Yeah.
And look, this is why I wasn't shocked when he signed the contract, because everybody signs this first one where they get all the money, they get the Supermax if they're on the All-NBA, and then in 4 years, when they're in the prime of their career at 27, 28, they can pick where they want to go. and they're not restricted. There's no ties there. So they're just going to go wherever they want to go, get other guys in there, and try to win from there. When you're 28 and you have what, presumably, I mean, you look at LeBron James, 7, 8, 9, 10 more years of good level of play, high level play. That's when you move.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I was just surprised because for a guy that has at least a decent public standing like Giannis does, like he's not hated in any way the way like Durant and LeBron and Harden kind of have been and are now. LeBron's rehabbed that public perception after the whole Miami thing. I'm really surprised that the guy just didn't want to keep his options open. The money was going to be there at the end of the day for him, whether it was in Milwaukee or elsewhere, and he could have just made a decision at the end of the year. I'm surprised he did the Bucks the favor. That's more what it is. After getting only Jrue Holiday and botching up another move, the fact that he was like, you know what, it's you've done enough. It's the thought that counts, and sure, I'll sign your Supermax now. Not make you sweat at all. So we'll see. Now, talk about making moves. I think the Boston Celtics go one of two ways. And I think in a way, the fact that they've struggled here might kind of make it easier on Danny Ainge to say, okay, I'm going to make some tougher decisions here at the trade deadline. If they were playing really well, and maybe if they weren't like the best team in the East, but they were gelling, everything was going good, you might say, listen, we've got that TPE in our back pocket. Let's just play this out. We're playing well, and who knows what this team can do. I'm not going to like sell or buy onto this team because I want to see what I can do in the summer. Let's just play it out, right? I'll hold on to some of these other pieces and let it play because it's working right now, ish. Might not win a championship, but who knows? We could catch lightning in a bottle. Now that they're struggling, maybe it's easier to just say, you know what? Maybe I'm not afraid to put Marcus Smart in a package for something. Maybe I'm not afraid to put Grant Williams and Robert Williams and a couple of first-round picks together with part of that TPE to go get something. You know what? I will trade Daniel Tice. Or I know we just signed you, Tristan Thompson, but guess what? We're flipping you for something else. I think the struggles make it more likely that they'll do something. Because there's really no emotional attachment to this team right now. They're not playing well. Outside of Jalen and Jason. Who knows? Even Kemba. And might it be fun if, you talk about if you trade a guy like Kemba, like what does that do to your reputation? If he was balling, yeah, that would be a big look. He's not. So if he was like in a package or something, it's like, and I know they say Bradley Beal isn't moving, but if you traded Kemba Walker in a package for Bradley Beal, nobody's like coming after the Celtics with pitchforks being like, how dare you? Or if it's for Karl Anthony Towns, there's not going to be an uproar. I think it's more likely now, I don't know what the percentage is, but I think it's more likely that something like that happens now, given the fact that the team is struggling.
Yeah, again. I mean, I feel like they go through this, just for the record, I said they were an Eastern Conference middler, and you said they were a number 1 seed or number 2 seed when Kemba came back. Not the case. Kemba Walker is, I don't know if he's going to get back to his form, but he's turned into more of a streaky shooter as opposed to a guy that used his quickness. Exploded off, obviously his knee is presumably maybe an issue still. I don't know. But he's not playing great. And outside of Jalen and Jason, what do you really have with this team? You're not beating the Nets still, I don't think. You're not beating Milwaukee. And I don't think you're beating Philly. And that's just the Eastern Conference. So I don't know. Unless those guys go to, another level, I don't know where you really stand. I think you're the Miami Heat of last year.
So isn't it better, though? Because if this is what they are, it's better that they're showing it now when they could just make moves instead of overperforming. Like, if you want the Celtics to make a move, if you want them to say, just do something, yes, Grant Williams is a great player. I love Grant Williams. I think he could develop into he is a solid player, but if you want to get better, like really better, that's a guy you package. Semi Ojeleye, balling out this year. Sell high. I know you love his defense. Guess what? If you can trade him to get somebody else that's really improved your team, you do it. I think if you want that sort of thing to happen, it's honestly better that they've been struggling here recently. Because if they weren't struggling, they wouldn't make any moves. They would just ride it out and get to the summer and then evaluate then with the TPE. You want them to make moves, right? You would like them to like do some consolidation here?
I mean, theoretically, yeah, but if the move is not anything to get you over the top, then what does it really do? I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, I don't think they need to hoard all these picks, like Trey Waters and Carson Edwards and all these first round picks, second round picks that have no value. And then when you do pick them, a guy like Sadiq Bey comes in here and throws up 45 points, and Aaron Nesmith doesn't see the floor. It's just like it's maddening with this team. And also, Peyton Pritchard is better than Kemba Walker now. Like,
I was going to say, there's 3 untouchable players on the Celtics: Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Peyton Pritchard.
Well, if you want to sell high, Pritchard's the guy, right?
No, talk about heartbreaking.
Yeah, no,
you can't do that.
I don't think they would either. But, yeah, theoretically, a guy like Ojale, a guy like Williams, even Robert Williams, another injury issue popped up here with him. So you got to look at some of these guys and say, is this really ever going to get us over the top? I'm not sure it is. So will Danny do something? The rumors are that he's planning on something, which means he'll do nothing. So I'm just waiting for that. But I think, yeah, they should do something. If the move makes them better, absolutely. This is what you need. I mean, you need guys around the two, superstars here, budding superstars in Tatum and Brown.
Yeah. Celtics do play today, and this is reported by Gary Washburn that Ish Smith will not be playing for the Wizards. A guy who is basically a Hall of Fame player when he plays the Celtics, so he is not in the lineup today. So maybe the Celtics have a chance to beat the Wizards.
Why don't we? I think in the middle of the game they should trade for Bradley Beal. That way they take Beal off the floor, and then they should be able to win.
Yeah. Brad Stevens also asked about Aaron Nesmith, said he'll get opportunities. He's in the gym first every day.
Great.
I'll admit.
What does that do?
I'll admit, I thought he was going to be much more of an impact player right away. I was wrong. Listen, a lot of us were wrong. I love the pick. I said, great. They identified a guy that does one thing. Who cares about versatility? The team has plenty of versatility. Get a guy that can just knock down shots. I don't care if he's like, defensively. As long as he can be put in position defensively, you can coach that up. They need a guy that can go out and get buckets. It was a major flaw for that team last year. They didn't have a guy that was a shooter.
Roster that doesn't play for JJ Redick. There you go. There's a shooter.
Yeah. So I've been really disappointed that he's not in the game to just get that experience and do those things.
I would trade Stevens for Bradley Beal, by the way, right now.
You trade Brad Stevens for Bradley Beal?
Yep.
Who's coaching the team? Evan Turner? New head coach?
Yeah, I would take Evan Turner. Sure.
Man. So the trade deadline for the NBA, March 25th. So that's coming up about 5 weeks from now ish. We will be having Matt Murphy on the show the week before, or about a week and 10 days, I think, before the trade deadline, to really give our full primer of that and everything. He was great with the draft, and we'll have him back on. Christian, you can give Matt and I both our lumps for the Aaron Nesmith pick because we were both very high on Nesmith. You'll have your chance to exact your pound of flesh.
Yeah, for one time, I can have the stance of like, okay, it's 2 against 1, but technically this time I'm like 3 against 2 because I have all the ammo.
Yeah, but other NBA note: next week on the program, we will be having Zach Weiss from Sportitude and Across the Cavs podcast joining us on the show to talk, give us a little bit of insight from a kind of an interesting Eastern Conference team. The Cavs started really well, have been kind of up and down, but he's tied in with the NBA. He'll have some tidbits for us, get some Eastern Conference news, just another guy who's clued in to the workings of the NBA, and again, just kind of ramping up towards that trade deadline. So next weekend on the show, Zach Weiss from Sportitude and Across the Cavs will be joining us, so definitely don't want to miss that one. Looking forward to our conversation with him. Any other last NBA notes, Christian, from you?
Celtics stink. No.
Do they win or lose today versus the Wizards?
Who knows? They should win. But right now they're in kind of like a little, they're taking some hits here. So, and now Jalen, I don't know. We could hit on this too if you're really quick, but tendonitis in Jalen's knee. Danny
Yeah.
Ainge said on a radio show here. So also not good. There's no good news right now. Let's just say that.
No. All
Other
right.
than other than those two are playing really well. I mean, I can say that for
Oh,
sure. But
gonna be all stars.
that's expected, right? So
Actually, here's something real quick. What do you think about the fact that they're gonna have an all-star game? A little
I
weird,
don't
huh?
I don't love it because the players don't want to play. I know James is LeBron has already come out and said he didn't really want to do it. He wants to spend time with your family, and Giannis the same thing. So I don't know if you got the top of the echelon and superstar saying that. A lot of guys will trickle down from that and say the same thing. And also, it's just kind of a weird. I don't know if I would do it.
Yeah, it's odd. I just, hey, like I said, we gave the NBA all sorts of credit for the bubble. Um, some of their stuff this season so far, not that the NFL proved it's not easy, and there's not necessarily always going to be right answers, but some of their stuff this year, like the optics, the NBA has lost more of the optic game here during this season than they did with the bubble, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
So having the All-Star game is a little odd. They also announced this week that the Toronto Raptors will be playing the rest of their season in Tampa Bay. So I guess actually it's signed and delivered. The Raptors are going to win the NBA championship now because Tampa's title town.
Yeah, yeah. Toronto's going to ruin that one.
So anyway, speaking of titles in Tampa, your Tampa Bay Lightning were the NHL champions last year, and they're 2 points out of the best record in the league. The Toronto Maple Leafs, 11-3-1, 23 points, hold the top spot in the NHL, but right on their heels, 10-2-2, the Boston Bruins, who until last night have been on fire since I declared that they would have a mediocre regular season. Now they still could, because the way they were winning these games was, hey, let's get down 3 goals and then score 5 in the third period, maybe in the last 5 minutes. Not a recipe for sustained success. Great to win, and it proves something about yourself as a team. Not sustainable. Bruins right now, obviously top of their division, second place in the entire league. Basically at the quarter pole right here of the NHL season. Are the Bruins that good? Or are they going to come back down to earth here in this second quarter?
I don't know if they're that good, but I think they're a solid team. I mean, when you just look at their roster, they still have the give whatever nickname to you want to the line. I don't need a stupid nickname, but Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron all together still is a premier line in the NHL, and they have pretty good lines up and down the roster. And their D have played better than expected. I think here in the last couple, there's been some lapses, but they're gonna have to improve on some things. But they're a solid team. I don't think they're gonna be, in the conversation of, oof, man, they're way out of it. I said this before, just because of the nature of the schedule and everything, where you're playing 8 teams 8 times for 56. I just, it's gonna be hard to have a really good year and still get in. It just depends, because there's going to be clusters of points here in the standings where you're 2 up or 2 down or 1 up, 1 down with 2 games left. So it's going to be close all the way through. Do I think they're a top 3 team in the league? Maybe not, but they're probably in the top, 8, 10. Put it whatever number you want on it. I mean, either way, when you go on a road trip like they were on and you pick up a ton of points, that's a pretty good start. So, I mean, look, this is where you want to be in the quarter point and even, to the halfway point. It's very rare that teams really falter that badly where you're in the playoff mix, and then you fall way out of it. So they'll be in the thick of things here. And also, if you just look at the division, they've played these teams a couple times now. Now they've won some games where they're coming back, which is, not necessarily sustainable. I agree with that. But also, these teams, there's no team yet that I'm watching here just through and through all three periods that is absolutely dominating the Bruins. It's not like they're getting run over. Whereas Tampa dominates a lot of teams, from end to end. So they're in the mix with anybody in their division, I would say. Now, they got caught up last night, on a end of a long, long road trip here, 2 weeks, and they lost to the Islanders again. But outside of maybe Washington, their division, I feel like they could win a series against just about anybody in there.
Yeah, I would agree, and we'll have to see how it plays out. Do you think? What are they looking at towards the trade deadline? Because this is the thing with the Bruins every year, and in a lot of NHL teams, hey, we're having a good year. There's always guys available coming off other teams who might be looking to win a ring, who just might be on the end of a deal, and they get shipped to a championship contending team, and they get to go on a playoff run and then get paid the next year. How aggressive should the Bruins be this year? Is this listen, this is transition. We let Chara go. We are letting these young guys play, and this is it. This is the team. We are not going to we're not going to buy for this team in the hopes of winning one this year. If we win with these guys, great. If we don't, we're just playing out our plan. Do you think they get aggressive at the trade deadline, or do they just say, come on, you're up. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
It's hard to say because I don't know how aggressive they can get at this point. Because I think their need is more of a top two forward, top six forward rather. Probably on the right side. Obviously, you have Craig Smith and Richie's playing well. So these are guys that either got in free agency or trades, and obviously Kasha is still on the shelf with an injury. So it depends. Like, you don't want to give up too much here if you're in it for a guy that's going to play on your third line. That just doesn't make sense. So unless you're trading an extra guy or a younger guy, I like the way they're going right now, and I don't think they necessarily need to trade anything unless there's a guy there that you could trade, maybe a draft pick or a young guy that's going to be here for a number of years, and also that you could probably sign and be the next wave. I don't think you're looking at another guy like Kasha at this point. It just doesn't make any sense because you already have those guys, and a lot of guys like Bjork and these guys are playing pretty well right now. So unless something changes and you can get like a top six forward, I don't know how much moves you're gonna make, or maybe a top 4D, but I don't know who's gonna be available if those guys are, those teams are in the mix.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of teams that are selling, that aren't trying to win, that probably won't be very good next year. This year. Anybody remember the Killer Bees? The Boston Red Sox had this great outfield. Bradley, Benintendi, Betts. Could even throw in Bogarts from shortstop. Mm-hmm. The Killer Bees are no more. Obviously, that ended when Betts left last year. The Red Sox have traded Andrew Benintendi for... I don't even... the guys that they're building this roster with, it's an analytics, like, just numbers fest. Well, look at this guy's barrel rate and spin percentage and these numbers that you can't even tell you what's a good number for that. We all get batting average, slugging percentage, ERA. We understand these things in general, and we know what's good and what's bad. I don't know what a good spin rate is. I don't. And I think if you're hoping that your fans will get worked up about that, then sorry, the MLB is going to go down the wrong path here if that's what they think. If they think the numbers is going to get people excited. But Krista, just your thoughts on this trade and how badly are the Sox going to suck next year? And is this just more of the death of baseball, teams making these sorts of moves, and that there's really no incentive to win in that league?
Yeah, at this point in time, I have absolutely zero idea what the Red Sox plan is. They're not spending the money. I don't want to say they're cheap because it's hard to say that when you have a $200 million payroll, but they're not spending the money in ways that you would want to formulate a team to win something. They're putting a team together of guys that are can play 8 positions and can hit the ball to right field, and guys that bat maybe 150 on average, but they hit 45 home runs. Um, so again, it's the analytics thing. The Benintendi trade blows. I'm not really sure what the plan was with this. They got him, they traded for a bag of balls pretty much. A guy that has power presumably but can't hit. So I don't know how those things coincide, right? If you can't hit, uh nowadays, right, it's all about launch angle, and if you can hit 40 home runs and your average is 180, that's pretty good for us. We'll take that, right? We want to see some, all you have to do is strike out and hit home runs. That's all the game is now. So I have no idea what the Red Sox are doing, but this is just, it's not like they're different from any other team. This is the way baseball is now. It's these guys, the nerds, as everybody likes to call them, that have all these stats, your spin rate and all these stats that nobody cares about. And this is the way baseball has gone for the last number of years. And I think, I mentioned Theo Epstein. We didn't mention this at the time, I don't think, but he left the Cubs and was hired as a consultant to what they're calling on-field matters, right? To change the game. And he said some interesting things about how the game is not where we want it, and things like that, in order to change the game and make it more viewable for viewers, fans, and make it more likable, quite frankly. Because right now they're in a hole. I mean, that's just a fact. Like over the age of 50, pretty good spot, right? Under that, with the younger people like us, I can't sit down to watch a baseball game every night. It's just not going to happen. It's too long, and it's not that fun to watch. I mean, it's just comparable to other sports. It's just kind of in the dump.
People love sports because it's unscripted drama. You want to see the drama play out. Pulling a player off the mound when he's on fire in a World Series game because the numbers say so makes you go click.
Yeah.
I might as well just watch a simulation, which is basically what we're doing. That's what this is turning into. You're just, the computers are playing the game. The players are just out there as long as the computer tells them to. Managers don't manage. They're just there to facilitate the human element of saying who comes in and who comes out, and maybe manage personalities in a locker room. But even then, what does the personality matter? They're just being asked to be robots.
Yep.
Out there on the field.
Here's a quote for you from Theo, because after he steps down, right, this is a guy who came into the league and was all about analytics, right? He was the leader of it, right? The first real guy that used these analytics to kind of change the way you operate on the field and drafting and everything like that. But he says the executives like me, who have spent a lot of time using analytics and other measures to try to optimize individual and team performance, have unwittingly had a negative impact on the aesthetic value of the game and the entertainment value of the game in some respects. Bingo. That's exactly what it is. So if you're actually serious about this, right, a guy like Theo is pretty impactful. He won a World Series here. He went to the Cubs and created another World Series team. He's known, all around in the game of baseball now. And to have a figure like that that's trying to change the game and admit that this is wrong, and this is maybe not wrong is the wrong word, but it's changing the game for the worse, right? They're way worse off with all these analytics and all these stats, and he realizes that. And you don't hear that very often.
Yeah. Hopefully it does something. I mean, hopefully something changes, because at least we've talked about, will baseball die? I don't know if it won't die. Is it going to turn into what boxing is, where it's so niche and people sometimes watch? They're going to be competing again against really great and compelling NHL and NBA action deep into the summer. And honestly, baseball is lucky that maybe the Olympics won't happen this year.
Yeah.
Because if the Olympics do happen and people go straight from watching the NBA all spring and summer into, boom, people watch the Olympics. The Olympics are a monster. If they're happening, that's what people are watching. People would rather sit and watch field events at the Summer Olympics because it's compelling versus 5.5 hours of a baseball game where the best players get yanked around here and there because the computer says so. Not fun. So they'll be lucky. They will be very lucky. And the numbers last year were bad. So they'll be lucky if the Olympics get canceled. If they aren't, baseball's ratings are going to be awful again.
It wasn't always like this either. Let's not forget. Like I love baseball, right? But the game of baseball and how it's changed is not good, and and I can't view it the same way I did. And I just feel like, especially when you're talking about, you're looking at the tail end of the NBA season, the NHL season. I feel like, since we were younger, the NHL has kind of been more on the up, and baseball has kind of been coming down. So if I'm a viewer and I'm a young viewer, right? If I had the choice between a hockey game or basketball game and the game of baseball, it's not even close. And unless you're really coming up into like some situation where your family is a baseball player or a number of things, right? You'll play little league, but are you going to sit down and be a huge fan of baseball? I think those days are done for right now until they change the way the game is played.
Unless baseball is viewed on like TikTok.
True.
Talk about attention spans. Our attention spans are like, as long as the Snapchat story lasts. That's what today's generation's attention span is. Sit down and learn the intricacies of how to calculate earned run average and spin rate and exit velocity and launch angle. Ugh. That's not interesting. If I was being handed, spreadsheets when I was like 8 years old, here's baseball, kids. Ugh, God. Give me a football and let me just go tackle my friends. I can get that. I can grasp that. So we'll see. And I'm with you. The game is fun. The game of baseball is fun. It is entertaining. It can be highly compelling. I love college baseball. College baseball is a lot of fun. Sometimes games do drag on, as baseball can do. There's no time limit. But by and large, the games are fast. It's compelling. And they have analytics too. Coaches can get bogged down in analytics. But far more of them that I talk to say analytics are great. It's about how much time you want to invest into ferreting them out. But it helps us make informed decisions. We don't let the analytics make the decisions for us. Bingo. There are some coaches that do. 100%. They're just all in. Numbers, you rule. Others say you can't have baseball without having some of that soul of the game in there.
Yeah, what happened to when I was trying out for baseball, I wasn't that great, right? So what happened to just can the kid play or can he not? Yeah. No, he looks like he sucks. Okay. It doesn't matter about his launch angle or his arm action or his spin rate. That means nothing. Just play the game. That's all I want.
Yeah. And I understood the Moneyball thing when it started. We're going to put an emphasis on base percentage versus average. Because we're going to say, listen, because maybe you don't know why. Somehow, some way, the guy gets on base. It's either with his bat or with his savvy at the plate. Some guys just have a thing, they just know how to get on base.
Right. And
it's quantified in this stat. And you want to put a focus on that. Sure. Build a team around that. I can get that. These other things, like you said, he's got, the pitcher they got. His spin rate, which I guess is 3,000 RPMs, which is really good. Above league average. How great is that if the guy's ERA is 7?
Yeah. So you give up 7 runs.
The number that tells you more about what he's capable of doing is horrific.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same way. His fastball has really good life on it and good spin rate. So it's he can hit corners, but he also walks 90% of batters. So what does that mean?
This is it is Valentine's Day after all. So I want to share this Valentine's. This is a great one. This is a good analytics Valentine. Here we go. Did you just throw 73 pitches? Because I'm trying to take you out.
True. Yeah, that's too soon. Too soon if you're a Rays fan. Well, not many people are,
but do those exist? Baseball fans. Maybe too soon for baseball fans. Yeah. The reference to the decision in the World Series to take out. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name now. Case in point. Case in point. You can't remember people's names because the games aren't compelling anymore because analytics has ruined it. Case in point. But yeah, this was from Jared Carabas. It's absolutely wonderful. Right on point. So we're gonna close today with our college focus. I wanted to bring up just one small story because I wanted to focus on college basketball quickly and March Madness, some March Madness news. But last night, I think it was last night. Jeff Battle, assistant coach for Providence College men's basketball, got his first career win stepping in for Ed Cooley. PC's now won 2 in a row. I mean, they're kind of in the middle here of the Big East. Again, college basketball, the season, ups and downs, the scheduling, games postponed. You're going to play this team. They got COVID. You go play this team instead, or you just have like 3 weeks off. So the season's been, a war of attrition to get through. But I thought it was really cool for Jeff Battle. Steps in for Ed Cooley, who was out sick, I guess non-COVID related, but able to get a career win. David Duke continues to just ball out for PC, even though record-wise they're 11-10, 7-8 in conference, but winners of 2 in a row. We'll see if they can make any noise here towards the end leading into the tournament, but I just thought it was really cool for Jeff Battle to get, always cool when you see those moments. Assistant coach steps in, gets a careir win. I thought it was pretty cool. Really awesome moment, so I wanted to bring attention to that. Speaking of March Madness, though, this is some information. So this is from the NCAA. This came out yesterday, a more complete schedule instead of events. So for those of you that didn't know, March Madness is happening, and they're going to have a bubble. So the NCAA announced in early January the entire 2021 men's basketball championship will be played in Indiana, with the majority of the tournament's 67 games taking place in Indianapolis. Selection Sunday is scheduled for March 14th, a month from today, with the Final Four scheduled for April 3rd and April 5th. So this is what it's going to look like. So Selection Sunday, a month from today. 4 days later, you've got your first 4. And then the first round starts on March 19th and the 20th. 21st, 22nd, second round, Sweet 16. 6 days after that. Sweet 16 and Elite 8, basically 4 straight days of basketball. They take a break. Final Four starts on April 3rd. Championship game on Monday, April 5th. The games will be played on 2 courts inside Lucas Oil Stadium, as well as Bankers Life Fieldhouse, Hinkle Fieldhouse, Indiana Farmers Coliseum, Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, and Simon Skjort, Skjodt. Skjort. Simon Skjort. I'm apologizing for the pronunciation because I have never seen that name before. Assembly Hall in Bloomington. Only 1 game at a time will be played at Lucas Oil Stadium. Teams will practice at the Indiana Convention Center with multiple courts set up inside the venue. All teams will be housed on a dedicated hotel floor with physically distanced meeting and dining rooms, as well as secure transportation to and from venues. So they have pulled out all the stops. The NBA bubble, people talk about, the bubble life and everything. They only brought 16 teams. Now, obviously, they're going to quickly be whittling down the number of teams here. But 68 teams to start. That's a massive undertaking. So talk about a lot of money in this.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. I mean, it's good that it's happening, though, right? We'll take
awesome.
And I think the situation that they're kind of putting the players in and everybody in is a good one. Bubble type scenario, and I'm just happy that we're gonna have March Madness. That's just the basis of my point. I don't need to say much more than that. Like that's the key, is that it's actually gonna happen. They're kind of taking the precautions, and they have time here to put things in place. We're still middle of February here, so and they have been working on this presumably for a long time now at this point. But thank God, because the tournament in itself is always usually pretty compelling in terms of upsets, and it's just a good tournament overall. And it kind of takes up a chunk of March, which is nice.
Well, yeah, and it's just going to give us something a year out from when we were all told to go home and don't do anything. At least now, if we're still doing that, which I assume we will be, we will have something to watch.
Yeah.
Nothing beats March Madness. Nothing is like it. The NBA bubble kind of came close because you got, and same with the NHL bubble. Having both of those happen, it was like, I'm going to watch like 8 hours of NBA playoff basketball today. Tomorrow I'm going to watch 8 hours of NHL hockey, playoff hockey, and then I'm just going to alternate days and just watch some of the best compelling sports content.
All of the sports.
All of the sports. March Madness. Great for the entertainment value. I think great for these kids. They have the resources to make it as safe as possible. They'll be testing all this stuff. They have the money and the resources to put tons of procedural stuff in place to make it as safe as possible. Hopefully they don't have any incidents. So far we've seen when you do a bubble, no cases. That's been what we've seen so far.
And also
professional sports have done it.
Yeah, but it's one and done, right? So you don't have 30. You're not going to have 18 teams in there for a whole month. So once a team gets knocked out, that whittles it down and down and down and down. So
yeah,
that is the one thing, and then the bubble, obviously, yeah.
So we've seen the pro leagues have great bubbles. Can the NCAA replicate that and do the same? I hope so. They get the money to do it, so hopefully they have the execution. And secondly, it'll be great for these athletes. So many guys, the teams that you'll never know what they could have done. Dayton men's basketball last year not getting a tournament run. You just never know what that team could have been. That could have been one of the best teams in basketball history. The regular season they had, and then what they could have gone off and done in a tournament, we'll never know. Guys' draft status. So many guys have a great run in a tournament and turn it into being drafted. Carson Edwards. There's guys that ball out in the tournament. Jean Morant, already projected to be a top 10 pick. He ends up being, number 2 overall, I think. Yeah. So, there's opportunities for guys to help their futures and really make a name for themselves. So they
also just want to play, right? And this is the same for women's basketball. The women want to play. Presumably 90% of these athletes, they want to play, whether it's men, women, it doesn't matter. They want to play for the most part, unless there's something outlying. But they just want to play. If you can build up a scenario where you're in a bubble like this, just do it and put the tournament together as best you can. We've seen it work, so presumably it could work, and it should. As long as they follow the protocols and they keep everything as as safe as possible from their end. Then, why not? Give it a shot and, let the kids play because they want to play.
Yeah, I agree. So that is going to do it for today's show. Once again, we're live every Sunday at 11 a.m. here through Restream to Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. You can always reach us in the comment section of the live stream or by email at the360sportshow@gmail.com. This show is also put out as a podcast right after the conclusion of our live stream through Sounder FM. You can follow, and subscribe to any of the platforms or the podcast. Just search for the 360 Sports Show, however you get your podcasts. So that'll do it for today. Again, looking forward to next week. We'll have Zach Weiss from Sportitude and Across the Cavs to come on and talk some NBA action with us. Looking forward to that. Everybody else, have a happy Valentine's Day, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah.